Hey guys, I'm going to review a video by Hench Herbivore responding to CosmicSkeptic. In case you don't know, CosmicSkeptic is, or was, a pretty big vegan YouTuber, one of the biggest.
Maybe you're just not trying hard enough. So, CosmicSkeptic has finally broken the silence on why he's no longer vegan.
So as you can imagine, the past couple of weeks have not been particularly easy for me.
Oh yes. Understatement of the millennium.
I recognize that this kind of video can cause a lot of drama, bring a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention to the vegan movement, to animal advocacy. That's really something I'm trying to avoid.
Good man. Most YouTubers throw the animals under the bus.
Wow, Henchy is looking pretty freaking bad. I don't say that to offend him, but
That's in an effort to make themselves feel better. So I've got to really respect that.
But look, I'm not some kind of nutritionist. I'm certainly not a nutritional expert.
But there you do have an expert. That is a true man.
And so I'm in a bit of an awkward situation here in that, I feel I want to explain some of the problems that I was facing in maintaining a healthy plant-based diet. But I want to clarify that shouldn't be informing your position on the viability of a plant-based diet.
Great. One question. If you're not a nutrition expert yourself, why don't you approach a plant-based nutrition expert and just get some help?
So people have been asking, well, what's this magical nutrient that you can only get from an animal product that you can't get from plants? I want to clarify from the start, there isn't one.
Amen.
There's over 15 micronutrients not found in plants. That's not arguable. A lot of vegans like to ignore it, but they can't actually argue it. They're just not found in plants. Their arguments would be that you can supplement B12, for example, or vitamin D, which is an animal hormone. How do they do that? I don't know. There's no animal hormones in plants, as far as I know. And the B12 is for the most part synthetic. There's no proof at all that it works. And then there's some animal versions of B12 also that you can use as supplements, which a lot of vegans do use without realizing where it actually comes from.
I want to encourage people to be vegan. I still want to encourage people, of course, to care about animal suffering.
You're going to find that rather difficult while you're eating their dead bodies.
The fact of the
That's very true.
matter is, I still think animal suffering matters greatly.
Just not enough to do anything about it.
All that happened was
Those are good points from a vegan delusional standpoint.
in practice, in my life, I found it difficult to maintain.
Yet somehow I've managed to get enough calories and nutrients in the last 10.
Yes, Henchy. Everybody who's watching the video believes that comes from vegan plant calories. Yeah, that's where the muscles come from, for sure, man.
Years.
Now, for most of my life, I've had a particular set of health issues, just like most people have some health issues that I must stress are unrelated to veganism. They're not caused by veganism. I had them before I was vegan. It's nothing.
I would say that most health problems on Earth are caused by plants. Not necessarily a vegan diet, but most people eat plant-based. A standard American diet, for example, is plant-based. Yes, they also eat some super overcooked meat and maybe some eggs here and there, but for the most part, it is grains, vegetables, and some fruit.
Like that.
Are you listening, you little anti-vegan numbskulls?
One of the most important or relevant here is IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which people have to varying degrees. I've suffered with it quite severely for most of my life.
Yeah.
Yes, and people suffer from it severely because of the plants that they eat. They eat way too many plants. The fiber especially is horrible for the gut. It really irritates it.
Well, no wonder you struggled then. So for anyone who doesn't know, whole plant foods are clinically proven, like there's no doubt about it, the evidence is overwhelming, clinically proven to be the most health promoting foods in the world.
Clinically proven to be the most health promoting foods on Earth. Clinically proven. How does that work? Show some kind of proof or anything.
If you can't put these healthy foods in your gut, and if you've got IBS, this is what really makes them flare up because of all the fiber.
Oh, right. He admits it. That's great.
If you can't put the healthiest foods in the world in your gut without having serious problems, something's very wrong, isn't it? And of course, the reason that people have
Yeah, because you shouldn't be eating plants. That's the conclusion that any sane human being would come to.
have IBS more often than not is that historically they didn't eat a healthy diet.
It's not been...
Historically, people have IBS because they didn't eat a healthy diet. But what would cause this problem? It would be, for the most part, fiber, anti-nutrients, and all of the gut irritators which you will find in plants. You're not going to say that there's anything that irritates the gut in any way at all found in animal foods, right? Everybody knows that when you eat animal foods, especially raw, cooked meat is hard to digest. It's hard on the gut. Not compared to plants, of course. Cooked meat compared to plants is super easy, but compared to raw meat, it still is hard. And then you could say that it kind of feels heavy in your gut. But when it comes to raw animal foods, for example, drinking raw eggs, what is it going to do? Only pleasure.
As bad as I've been getting older.
Such as when you ate a vegan-compatible diet?
But it essentially translates to having some severe stomach problems, as well as, I don't really know how to put it, but you need to make sure you have access to a toilet. For most of my childhood, one of the great miseries of my life was that I essentially wouldn't be able to go anywhere that didn't have an immediate toilet access, because otherwise...
It would be interesting to hear what he actually ate in his childhood. I would bet that it was plant-based, not vegan, but for the most part. How else does somebody start eating a vegan diet anyway? You usually grow up following the food pyramid, and then you go from there.
I'd be absolutely stuck out, and the anxiety of just being there and knowing that that was the case would be enough to bring on the symptoms of IBS, and I'd just be paralyzed by it.
You have my sympathies. That's really hard. Now,
you have no sympathy for anybody, for real. Anybody can tell that, man. This guy is just...
3 years back, I developed SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. For a vegan, it's probably the worst thing you can have. I had very similar symptoms. Mostly it was a lot of pain. But what I did is I reached out to an expert, YouTuber Goji Man, Simon Hammett. We ran some tests. Turned out I had SIBO. Then he prescribed me a treatment. I did the treatment. And then I carried on eating all the plants.
And now you look like this?
Because I care about my own health and about animals. Some experts reckon that maybe 84...
How do you care about your own health if you try to deal with a problem that's caused by plants? Why not then stop eating a vegan diet? No, just admit that you care about the animals, which I don't even believe, but that's the reason why you supposedly, officially do it. It's not for your own health. Nobody promotes veganism for anybody's health. It's always about the animals, supposedly.
4% of what we call IBS. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it's just a syndrome is a list of symptoms. 84% of it potentially is driven by SIBO. So at the very least, just do a SIBO test or run a battery of gut health tests. Ascertain why is it that the healthiest foods in the world are causing you problems.
How is it the healthiest foods on earth? Just give some kind of reasoning, argument, anything at all. You made no points. If plants don't have over 50 nutrients, then how can they be the healthiest foods on earth? Just by that definition alone, it doesn't make sense because it is literally malnutrition. Foods that cause malnutrition can't be the healthiest foods on earth. It's just such basic logic.
In the interim, you could try a FODMAP diet where you temporarily eliminate certain types of whole plant foods, which can be more triggering for some people.
Yeah, or you can just eat what humans eat in nature. Would be simpler.
I would point you to Monash University and that awesome app for help with that.
This was livable. That is an important thing to stress. It's not like the pain that I experience when I suffer from these symptoms is completely and utterly debilitating.
Unlike the pain and misery that animals have to go through in
blah,
order to
blah,
end up
blah.
on our plates.
The problem is that, of course, when there was something I needed to be doing, so if I was giving a talk
Jesus,
or a debate,
he uses so many ads
or
for
even
his
if I was
garbage.
attending a lecture or a debate or something like that, or indeed if I was just hanging out with friends in a place that didn't have toilet access, if we were just going for a picnic or hanging out by the river or something, I knew that if I was going to eat something and then go to these things, there was a good chance I was going to run into quite a bit of trouble. And so what I would do is have a very restricted relationship to food in these instances. It meant essentially not eating or eating very minimally and safely.
All that this boils down to is him admitting that plant foods cause problems for his gut and that eating more animal foods is simply better for his gut. Isn't that what you would want for a human being? Wouldn't you want him to be healthier and happier? Why would you push veganism onto him if he's clearly saying that he feels better now? That's what he needs. He's just literally listening to his body. Why would you not do that? Why would you not follow your intuition?
I.e. very little fibre. The problem when we do that is that we're not feeding the healthful gut bugs that control 99% of our health potential via their genes. And we're not giving them the raw materials, the soluble fibre, for instance, that they break down into short-chain fatty acids such as butyrate.
What raw materials? Most vegans overcook their food because they hate it so much.
Which is the fuel for our colonocytes, the cells of the colon wall, and gives them the energy they need to knit together tightly. And if we're not doing that, We have gut permeability, little holes, fractions of undigested proteins get into the bloodstream, and then we develop allergies to perfectly healthy foods. And so, again, healthy foods seem to be a problem for us. It's not the plants that are the problem, it's the problem that we don't eat enough plants early enough in our life to have good gut integrity.
And one of the worst things about it is that it was quite unpredictable. I never knew when the stomach was going to flare up. So sometimes I'd be able to eat and be fine, but I didn't want to run that risk. And so in any of these kind of circumstances, I'd be restricting my eating very greatly. And this is something that I did before I was vegan as well. So I was well adjusted to it. But essentially, if I was going out and doing something, like if I was going out to a field somewhere, or if I was going to give a talk, I just wouldn't really eat, or I'd eat very minimally, and I'd eat very safe foods that obviously weren't particularly nutritionally adequate, but would help me to get some calories in.
Wait, so you have the same symptoms whether you eat omnivorously or as a vegan? So therefore you're going back to eating omnivorously? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense what you're saying, because a so-called omnivore diet could be based on burgers, which are 80% plants and 20% overcooked meat. If you eat that, you're still going to have problems. It's not as if he ate a so-called carnivore diet, which people promote nowadays, which would be full of cooked meat. Even that would be 1,000,000 times better for IBS or any kind of gut problems. But of course, eating naturally, raw meat and so on would be ideal. It's just absolute nonsense that he's calling the way he ate an omnivorous way of eating, even though really it's a plant-based way of eating.
There are plenty of vegan foods that have zero fibre. Why not just eat those around the times that you're going to have a potential issue, and then eat healthily the rest of the time?
Name those foods.
Because of the fact that it is easier to get the nutrients that are required to be healthy on a non-vegan diet, which, say what you like about it being easy to live healthily as a vegan, which I believe in many cases it can be and it is easier to not be.
It's horrible that these ex-vegans still hold on to it so much. I don't know if they feel guilty, they don't want to lose subscribers, whatever the reason is. A lot of the vegans who quit, they just delete their channels and never talk about it again. They really don't want to face the vegans who will obviously attack them and get really mad. I can understand that sort of. Of course, you don't want people to be angry at you or whatever, but still, he should really just speak out about it and really give his real opinion, and that would be that he's feeling a lot better now for sure, eating more animal foods. He probably still eats a lot of plant-based garbage. Hopefully he will realize that he has to stop the fiber altogether, at least for a while.
I found that in practice, despite obviously having a lot invested in this, I wasn't able to make it work.
Yeah, well, my SIBO symptoms sounded about 1,000 times worse than your symptoms, and I made it work. Maybe you're just not trying hard enough. If you want to optimize your health, body shape, or sports performance while not harming animals, check out my coaching service link below. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.
That was a lovely video, innit? Unfortunately, plants are missing a lot of vitamins. That's why it's malnutrition. And I keep telling Henchy this, but he just doesn't understand it. He keeps going for so many years. And obviously, it's not working out. I don't really understand why he keeps holding on to it. Is it because it's his business? I actually think that you could make a lot more money coming out as an ex-vegan, and you don't even have to promote eating all meat or anything, but I think that it will actually make your channel a lot more interesting. Really, I would consider it. Thanks for watching.